Welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable with your hosts Del, Phil, and Janice. Come on in and take a seat. You're invited to join the roundtable. Call 734-822-1600 to get into the conversation. And now, your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
Good morning and welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable of Michigan. That's Art of Michigan. You can find us online at artofmichigan.com. That's artofmichigan.com, all spelled out. Our web tech, Rain One Syndications, has really done a stellar job organizing the website. It includes a live listen feature. There's links to all of our shows, information about important upcoming events, pictures, articles. It's really great. And by the way, I want to say congratulations to Art of Michigan for our 4-year anniversary this month. Woo!
Yes.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yes, it is
awesome.
awesome.
Thank you very much.
This is Janice Daniels. I am the former mayor of Troy, Michigan. I'm a current board member of the Michigan Conservative Union. You can follow me personally at janicedaniels.com. That's janicedaniels.com. And I'm here today with my good friends Phil Stargell and Del Marsh. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning. I want to get right into our subject matter because we have a lot to go through.
Yes.
And I want to start by saying, oh, what a tangled web they weave when first they practice to deceive. On April 15th, 1998, a man named Siamak Namazi penned an article called Misguided Policies Toward Expatriates that started with the words, revolutions have unintended consequences. And he goes on to say, among the unintended consequences of the 1979 revolution in Iran was a scattering of the many countries' intellectuals, technocrats, and entrepreneurs into foreign countries where they were beginning to assimilate. Now, basically, what he was saying was that Iran needed to rethink their position on these expatriates. Many Iranians believed that these people were actually traitors to the country. Namazi's position was that these hyphenated Iranians were a storehouse of wealth to Iran that no lobby could ever achieve because of their ability to gain status and influence in their host country, say the United States of America. Siamak Namazi is only one of the many characters mentioned in a new paper that has come out called The House of Bribes, How the United States Led to a Nuclear Iran. Now, this paper can be found on Trevor Loudon's website. That's trevorloudon.com. And we are being joined this morning by a gentleman who is a co-author of the paper, House of Bribes, How the United States Led to a Nuclear Iran. We have Mr. Wallace Bruschweiler with us on our hotline. Good morning, Mr. Bruschweiler.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Can I call you Wallace?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. Wallace is an expert on counterterrorism and national security issues. He has over 30 years' experience operating in Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. He speaks English, French, Italian, German, and he says rusty Russian. He's a co-author of that important paper, again called The House of Bribes, How the United States Led the Way to a Nuclear Iran. Now, I would suggest that the audience read that paper. It's really a fascinating study of the background manipulations, deals, money laundering, influence-making, treachery that led to, and I quote from the paper, the Iranian nuclear deal, which is a full capitulation to Iran's terrorist mastermind mullahs and the latest in a series of betrayals of the American people and allies by the Obama administration, end quote. Now, we're going to be posting this interview both on Art of Michigan and janicedaniels.com. So after you've had a chance to read this important paper, you can then listen to the interview again, because I want to begin the interview with a question that I gleaned from actually the end of the paper. Wallace, what can the next president do to rectify this world-class nuclear debacle?
It's a very intricate question, and I'll try to answer as good as I can, but I would like to start by saying one thing. If people expected me to use political correctness, they're on a wrong channel.
Thank you.
Political correctness is not part of my vocabulary. Now, there's one thing we have to go back and listen and see how we got to that situation we're in right now. Because, as some French politician said, if you talk about immigration, you're considered a xenophobe. If you talk about security, you're considered a fascist. If you talk about Islam, you are an Islamophobe. All this is today's situation we are faced with. Now, we have to see how we got to that. And here is one of the things which I would like to point out. If you think that ex-President Jim Carter was bad in what he did for Iran, with Iran, Barack Obama is doing the same thing, even worse, for the whole of Middle East and beyond. We have to realize that Islamic State or ISIL or ISIS or whatever you want to call it, which is extremist Muslim fanatism, is on the move. Jihadism is in general a raging and all the rage, and with that Iran deal, the man who helped enable the Arab Spring may give us a nuclear winter. That is beyond any doubt. Now, the players become a little, the whole field becomes a little bit more complex with the appearance of our friend Vladimir Putin. Obama has been outflanked, outwitted, and outgunned by Vladimir Putin. It's no wonder. If you pit a former KGB agent against a former community organizer, and this is what happened right now in Syria. I saw very recently a cartoon, comic, which depicted Obama and Putin sitting in front of a chessboard. And the only person saying something was Obama. He said, bingo. That shows exactly the level of difference what we are faced with. You have to understand, I have no special love for Vladimir Putin, but what he's trying to do, as far as I'm concerned, is, and I think I read it correctly, he's trying to bring back the grandeur to the Russia of the Tsars. What he does, and he showed that with Crimea, wherever there is a vacuum and he sees that whatever his action would be, is going to go unchallenged, so he goes to the next step. And the next step, in this case, was Syria. United States and allies abandoned totally the Middle East. And there we have to go back a little bit. When Obama was inaugurated, that's where the problem started. Because Obama's crowd decided that they would like to replace stable governments in North Africa by the Muslim Brotherhood gang.
Well, Wallace, it seems to me that the liberals have long said that they would like to see a level playing field in terms of power. So are they propping up Iran so that they have this utopian world in which there's, a mutually assured destruction, that no one is going to use a nuclear weapon because everyone has a nuclear weapon?
No, I don't see it that way. I see it more, today we are faced with, we're jumping a little bit here, but the way I see it, we are faced, it's we against them. And by them, I mean the extremist Muslim movement, which includes Iran and all the ISIS and all those movements, which now are proliferating even in Africa, Central Africa, West Africa, and goes into Indonesia and Bali and places like this.
Who do you call we?
Beg your pardon?
Who are you calling we? If it's we against them, and them are Iran and ISIS and Africa and Indonesia, who's we?
the West, what
United
I call the
States.
Western world. United States, Europe, and strangely enough, we will have to include, in my opinion, Russia and China. At the end of the whole game here, if we can call it, unfortunately, a game, we will be faced, and we will have. There will be strange bedfellows, and I think that's the first movement is happening right now. You see, even the Chinese joined the Russians on the theater in Syria. So you see, China has also a problem with Muslim extremism. Russia has a problem with Chechnya. It's not very well covered in the Western press, but Chechnya is a battleground, has been a battleground for a number of years for Russia. But you see, for example, the Russian army today includes 30 to 35% of the soldiers are Muslim. But those Muslims are, let's say, what I call westernized Muslims, that they do not respect and do not preach the old dogma of the Muslims.
Those were
There are also one thing, but a lot of people, in my opinion, do not understand that the internal fights between Shiite and Sunnis is just, it's like we have problems within the same family, but that then whenever they finished with the little skirmish inside the family, they turn against the real enemy, which is us.
Right, and that's what Netanyahu said, the enemy of our enemy is our enemy.
Yes, exactly.
Wallace, again, let's get back to that question. What can the next president of the United States do to rectify this debacle?